Hey guys, this has been a crazy game with lots of sacrifices. You will not believe it. This was so beautiful, I can't even find the words for this. So today I played the fourth game in my match against my younger brother, George. The match score is 2-1 in my favor. So if I draw or if I win, I get the win in the match. I'm playing with the black pieces. I will not spoil anything. Let's just dive into the game. This was exceptional. Let's take a look at this. So he plays e4, I play e6, the French defense, and he again chooses this unorthodox Labordonnais variation where he moves his f-pawn, which is not objectively the best move, but helps him avoid theory, which he likes. So my brother, for those of you who don't know, he is around 2,000 rated on chess.com, around 2,100 rated on Lichess, quite a strong player, and a very attacking one, just like me. I'm a little bit higher rated, but the difference is not that big. So it's very competitive, this match. I play c5 here. We both have 35 minutes per game, so it's quite a lot to think about. We are contemplating our moves. And here we change up the things on the board a little bit. If we compare it to our previous game where I played black pieces in the second game, which I won, he went here and I blocked with a knight to this square, but here I decided to put the knight on the most optimal square, c6, where it is best positioned. So he maybe in the future wants to activate his bishop to this diagonal. If you remember game 2, you will know that this is a good plan in this position. So I go d4, I take up some space. I have already equalized out of the opening, but it's very complicated and it becomes messy very soon. So he castles, finishing development. I put my knight out. I want to put it either to this square or to this square. They both are very good for my knight. And I really like my position already. He puts his pawn on d3, so his bishop is not that good anymore. The only optimal square for it now is f3 in future, but he will need to reroute his knight to one of those squares to put it here, so it takes time. I like my position, and I go knight d5. Here I spent some time thinking about my move. I was thinking maybe put my knight here. But I decided this was the better square, the central square for the knight, and I knew he would go c4. I was calculating what to do. I thought that I'm perfectly fine if I take en passant. Actually, he went c4. So I thought I could take en passant, and that would be a pretty dry and equal position after knight takes, for example. This pawn is a little bit backward, but maybe in future it will move forward, but not now. He will exchange this knight and it will be equality. I didn't want equality. I wanted an interesting game, a great content for you, so I decided to sacrifice a pawn for the two bishops advantage. I jumped in with my knight. It could have been a fork, but white obviously can take, and I'm taking, and I know that this pawn will die. If you remember game 2, that was a different game. There, this pawn could live, but I was calculating variations. I realized this pawn will die. But it will not just die, but it will help me because I will have two bishops. This bishop is unopposed. In future, I could jump in with this knight to this square, and this juicy square is up for grabs for me. The extra pawn that white will have is this pawn, which is backwards, which is limiting the movement of its own bishop. So maybe it's not as important as you might have thought. And also, I could anytime take this bishop, I thought, and I would have two bishops against two knights and a pawn. And in most cases, if you can get this position, the compensation is enough. And my coach, after I played this game and I showed it to him, said that, yeah, that's a great plan. I agree with you. And the computer also says that it's a nice plan. White has a tiny advantage, 0.27, the chess.com engine says, but it's obviously nothing too spectacular. I have great practical chances for attack. This diagonal is weak for my opponent's king, so I was pretty confident that I'm in control. So he goes here, wanting to reroute here and take this this pawn. This is the recommendation of the engine, although this move looks a little bit clumsy. But if he goes, for example, in this position here to attack with this queen, I can jump in with my knight, and he cannot take the pawn because my knight will jump in with the fork. So knight e3 is a good move. I develop, I develop and castle, and he finally takes the pawn. He's up a pawn, but you see the evaluation bar shows that he's not that much better. I jump in with my knight. So what to do? The computer shows that the best move is taken for him, but he decided to activate his knight to this square and put pressure on d4. I develop. I want to put my bishop on this gray diagonal. He goes knight c2, and here I thought for some time to take his bishop and have two bishops for two knights and a pawn, but I decided that this bishop is not too strong at the moment, so this knight is great. I will wait a bit, and I activated my bishop. And the thing is, you might say, okay, 1, 2, 3 attackers for this knight, and 1, 2, 2 defenders. So what if white takes, and takes, for example, like here or like here? But I have the move bishop c5, and that's the problem. This is a deadly pin, and white loses this piece. So this pawn on d4 is untouchable. But the problem is that I forgot that he can take one time and go back, and I no longer can eat his bishop. And after some time, he will activate it and maybe trade off my active bishop. Here I thought, okay, I messed it up. I'm now a bit worse because I'm down a pawn. But I still have the two bishops. I still have some counterplay. This pawn is still backwards. So I felt optimistic about my chances, but I realized that objectively I'm worse, and the computer agrees. It's plus 0.6. I go a5. What I want to achieve by that move is I want to prevent this move with further expansion on this flank. And the move is okay, the computer says. Here he goes knight g5, which is logical. He wants to trade off his white square bishop. I go rook c8, activating, and he goes bishop f3. I really don't want to trade here. Maybe objectively it's okay, even though the move I made is the best move, according to the computer, now that I see it. But I didn't want to trade. Why? Because I don't want to help him activate. Maybe like this, but maybe even like this, and attack me. And it's unpleasant. And my greatest piece in the position, the white squared powerful bishop, is gone, and my two bishops advantage is gone. Two bishops work best as a team together. You know, this synergy, all those fancy terms, they are true regarding chess and regarding two bishops. One bishop is not as menacing as two. So I decided to preserve my two bishops advantage and go bishop a6, which is the best move, but still I'm worse. And this bishop is now, well, it looks menacing, but it's not doing anything in particular. In future, maybe I will go b5. But no, I will not go b5. My brother is clever. He sees that I could have some counterplay here, and he stops this. I attack his pawn with my queen and develop my queen, and he puts this defensive formation where I cannot break through. I thought that, okay, I'm not afraid because now he cannot break through either. So before that, I was afraid that maybe he could go a3, b4, c5 and attack me on this side of the board. But now I've prevented it. These pawns, they prevent my counterplay, but they prevent him from advancing on this flank where he has an extra c-pawn. So I thought, okay, I'm probably worse, I'm down a pawn, but I have compensations. But here I made a fatal mistake. I don't know why. I immediately, after making this move, I realized that it's a stupid move. I was thinking, I go f6, attack this knight. The knight goes, here is not a very cozy position for the knight, so the knight probably goes here. And then I thought that I could take, and go queen c7, attacking this pawn. That was my idea. And it seems like there is no way for white to defend this pawn. Queen c7 or rook f5, by the way. I didn't think about that move, but queen c7 also works okay. So white has to give the pawn back, I guess. And yeah, the position is complicated, but I'm no longer down a pawn, which is a good transformation of the position for me. But somehow I completely forgot that he does not have to go back. Take a look at this position. He can just take. And immediately after making the move f6, I'm like, oh, hell, why did I do it? Because if I take, he can go bishop d5 and pin my queen to my king, and I have to give up my queen for two pieces, give up my queen for two bishops, and sometimes you have enough compensation with two bishops for a queen, but this is not this case. These pawns are just marching down the board and destroying me, and I have no chance. So this is out of the question. After knight takes e6, this was like cold shower for me. I retreated with my rook, and he made another great move, bishop d5 here. So still insisting on using this great bishop as a dominating piece here. I move back because otherwise there were some discovered attacks on my king and queen. And he goes f5. He just sacrifices the pawn. He likes sacrificing just like myself. Great move. Maybe it's not objectively best, but still he has a winning position, winning attack, and he wants to attack, not count pawns. So if you are attacked, the least you can do is take material. That's what my coach taught me. Because yeah, maybe you'll get checkmated, but in other variants, in other branches of the multiverse, maybe you defend, you don't get checkmated, and you get material. So at least I'm currently down 2 pawns. I have to take at least one of them back. So I am taking it, although it's not too helpful for me. And here he goes queen e2 with a clear intention of going either grabbing this pawn, or more likely going here, 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 and checkmating me. And there are various other ideas that I will not show you, but lots of different attacking ideas. It's a pleasure. It's a treat, this position for white. It's a pleasure to play, but I'm not giving up. I decided, in the spirit of Tigran Petrosian, world champion, who liked sacrificing exchanges, which means sacrificing a rook for a minor piece. I go rook c5. Maybe not objectively the best move, but it's an attempt to complicate the position. I want to either remove this knight of his, which is a formidable piece, for example, like this, and at least I have 2 bishops for a rook and a bishop, and at least I have some counterplay. If I manage to do this, for example, then maybe I can survive or even create some complications and spice things up. So this is one idea. If he takes, but his knight is much more powerful than the rook, he will not take. And if he doesn't take, the idea is to take here, to take this bishop and a pawn. And again, I have some complications. I have 2 bishops for a rook and a knight, and I could activate the battery on this diagonal, queen and bishop, so makes some sense. But he just takes my pawn in this position, queen takes e5. He doesn't allow me to do anything crazy. Here, if I take the bishop, he just mates me. So this is out of the question. I have to react to a mate threat. Here I was thinking about 3 moves. Bishop d6, attacking the queen, bishop f6, attacking the queen, or bishop g5, which I thought was the most active move. I have to create some counterplay. Okay, of course I can go bishop f6, and after bishop f4, queen f4, I can maybe sacrifice here, but I don't know. This doesn't look right. Here he has knight c7 a fork, so I cannot take the pawn. And if I go, for example, Here he has d6, then he has rook c7. This is complete devastation. So I thought I need to do something active. Bishop d6 also is not impressive. He can take my pawn even. He has a material advantage of 3 pawns and a devastating attack. What else do you need in life? So I decided I need to spice things up. I calculated bishop g5. If he takes, I take the queen. By the way, it's also nice for white. I was calculating this variation because he has this move, check, and a fork. If I go back, he takes with check, and I have to give up my queen like this, and this is also a losing position for me. But I thought in this position I'm taking with my queen. That was my plan, and then I'm taking this pawn. But it's still a losing endgame. My king is very weak on the on this file. He can go like here, for example, or here, and threaten mate, and then infiltrate on the 6th, for example, rank, and take the pawns, or infiltrate on the 7th rank, and it's still devastation for me. But at least I have some chances. I'm down a pawn in a completely lost endgame, but it's just a pawn, and maybe I can create some counterplay. That's what I thought. But obviously, after bishop g5, he doesn't have to initiate all those complications. He doesn't have to take the bishop. And he, being an attacking player, looked at this position and did something very impressive. So I thought maybe he will try to move his rook because it is attacked by the bishop. Maybe he will try to do something else. Maybe he will move back his king out of danger because I want to check him and plant this bishop on this powerful square where it will be a thorn in his side. But no, he just ignores it. He goes f6, which is the best move. Fantastic move. I really liked it. He made 3 brilliant moves. 3 brilliant moves in one game. So this was knight a6 was one of them. The next one was f6. So he goes f6 here. And after f6, I cannot take because I will get destroyed here. Let me just show you the variation. Check and rook f8 and checkmate next move like this. This is checkmate. So I cannot take the rook. I can, of course, check him, but he will just go back and there will be no chance for me. He can even take here and do this again and win like this. So I thought if I take with my bishop, he will definitely sacrifice the rook here and check me. And this will be, again, devastation because rook f1, for example, queen f8 mate is threatened, or he can go here with a discovered check and win the queen. So this I didn't like. This is why I didn't take with my bishop. I took with a pawn. But he did the same thing. Another brilliant move, 3rd brilliant move in a row. My brother played with 93% accuracy in this game. This is crazy. Rook takes f6. And if I take, I get again brutally checkmated in several moves like here, or maybe winning a queen also works. So I cannot take. I was thinking about various ways to try to put up resistance, and I found a clever move. Queen g7, which is not the best move objectively, but it's a trap. He can take my queen, but I'm taking his queen, and his knight and his rook are both hanging. And if he goes like protecting them, for example, like this, I can take this rook. So this rook is also hanging. So yeah, all his pieces are hanging in this variation. He cannot take my queen after queen g7, but obviously he found the killer blow. Rook f8, check. So the only legal move for me is to take. Here I resigned, but the only legal move for me is to take and get checkmated like this. This is brilliant. This is like romantic era of chess. I really love such games. And although I was checkmated and the game finished in such a brutal fashion for me, I was exhilarated. I'm glad that my brother exercised such brilliance today and created this chef d'oeuvre on the chess bored. This is really the reason why I love chess. I love such games. And the match is tied 2-2. Next time I'll try to be more careful and not blunder. But my brother was a great opponent. It was a pleasure to play him. And soon I will treat you with recaps of my upcoming classical tournaments. I will soon come to one. I will tell you in the next videos. So don't miss it. And don't miss the new podcasts. They are coming up also soon. See you. Bye-bye.